Hello, this is Minyoung Park from the DTM lab at Dongguk University. Today, I will review a research paper titled How Do Institutional Effects Shape Open Innovation Adoption? The information regarding this paper is as follows. The research focus lies in employing the institution-based view to analyze the essence of open innovation. The research findings demonstrate the substantial role effects play in influencing the adoption of OI. This study contributes to our comprehension of how institutional effects impact the adoption and implementation of OI, offering practical guidelines and suggestions that can be applied in real-world settings. The contents has been structured in the same way as the progression of the paper. The concept of open innovation has gained widespread acceptance in various industries and has been receiving increasing attention from scholars. The underlying principle of open innovation is that organizations should leverage the inflow and outflow of knowledge across their organizational boundaries to drive innovation and exploit external markets for the use of such innovation. In industries where open innovation is practiced, organizations face constraints imposed by formal and informal institutions influenced by professional and regulatory pressures. The implementation of open innovation can be challenging for firms as it involves incorporating external sources of knowledge into their internal innovation process, which often leads to high levels of outcome uncertainty. This can make it difficult to effectively integrate and leverage external knowledge. Organizations must consider the complexity of institutional factors when orchestrating external sources of knowledge. Commonly used methods for analyzing the open innovation paradigm involve the industry-based and resource-based perspectives. However, there has been limited research exploring the application of the institutional perspective to understand the concept of open innovation and its relationship. The primary goal of this research is to gain a deeper understanding of how institutional effects influence the adoption of open innovation and to develop arguments concerning the three key institutional effects: coercive, mimetic, and normative forces. What sets this study apart is its innovative use of the institutional perspective to analyze the concept of open innovation and its association with institutional effects. Additionally, the study employs a case study methodology to offer comprehensive insights into the adoption and implementation of open innovation across diverse organizational contexts. Open innovation fosters dynamic innovation development by incorporating external knowledge and partners, leading to enhanced interactions among stakeholders and creating synergies. It serves as a solution to innovation resource scarcity and contributes to improved innovation performance. One of the key advantages of open innovation is its ability to drive organizations to break away from established routines and reach new points. This interactive process involves forming new networks, adapting dynamically, and acquiring novel knowledge. Despite the possibility of encountering the not invented here syndrome externally, where organizations resist external innovations. Open innovation helps organizations overcome this barrier and effectively manage their boundaries. By embracing open innovation, organizations can harness external expertise and expand their innovation capabilities. Open innovation has been extensively studied from resource and industry-based perspectives. However, the institution-based perspective has also garnered significant attention, mainly due to the influence of rules, regulations, and norms when collaborating with external partners. In institutionalized settings, organizations must overcome cognitive, cultural, and regulatory constraints to effectively adopt open innovation practice. The impact of institutional effects on firms' motivations and behaviors in embracing open innovation is noteworthy. While there have been efforts to analyze open innovation from resource and industry-based standpoints, further exploration is needed to fully understand the implications of institutional theory in this context. Organizations operate within an institutionalized environment when institutions are seen as the rules of the game. These institutions consist of three pillars of legitimacy: the regulative system, the normative system, and the cultural cognitive system, guiding organizations to adopt specific action. Scholars have extensively connected institutional effects to organizational conformity in such institutional environments. Coercive forces encompasses both formal and informal pressures exerted on organizations by external entities such as regulators and parent companies. Mimetic forces prompt organizations to imitate strategies and actions of similar counterparts, reducing uncertainty in their decision-making process. Normative forces, on the other hand, stem from professionalism and drive organizations to learn from others within professional networks. Institutionalized organizations face significant challenges due to high levels of professionalism and regulatory pressures, which can influence their decision-making process. This study seeks to investigate how institutional theory can elucidate the adoption and implementation of open innovation within traditional and institutionalized industries. This study takes an exploratory approach in examining the implementation of open innovation through the institutional perspective. To gain a deeper understanding of the subject, the researchers opt for a case study methodologies following framework for building theory from case studies. This framework includes defining research questions, case selection, data collection and analysis, and integrating existing literature to draw meaningful conclusions. By adhering to this framework, the study benefits from valuable insights gleaned from the selected cases. This study focuses on analyzing open innovation strategies adopted by traditional financial institutions in Taiwan's financial industry to build fintech capabilities. Fintech refers to the utilization of technological advancements to provide financial service. The chosen case study is motivated by two main factors. Firstly, fintech has transformed the financial industry and impacts the competitive advantage of traditional financial institutions. Secondly, in response to competition from high-tech firms, traditional financial institutions in Taiwan have embraced open innovation and engaged in collaborations with external partners to rapidly adopt fintech innovations. The financial industry in Taiwan is well established, highly institutionalized, and subject to significant regulatory pressures and professionalism. This study specifically focuses on mobile payments, which are regarded as crucial type of fintech and have garnered significant attention from academia, industries, and users. As mobile payments gain popularity, traditional financial institutions, particularly traditional banks, have recognized their importance and sought to strengthen their mobile payment capabilities. However, developing mobile payment service requires a different technological approach from traditional banking methods. To address this, many traditional financial institutions have embraced open innovation to leverage external ideas, acquire complementary assets, and drive innovation in mobile payments. For the study, four major Taiwanese banks considered as traditional financial institutions were selected as the main subjects to analyze their processes of adopting open innovation. The research design involved collecting data from both primary and secondary sources to ensure data triangulation. Primary data was gathered through semi-structured interviews to gain insights into the adoption of open innovation in traditional banks. A case study protocol was developed to guide data collection, ensuring replication logic and providing a detailed description of each case bank. The study focused on four main aspects. First, the impacts of fintechs on the financial industry and traditional banks. Second, how case banks utilize open innovation in developing mobile payment services. Third, identification of key institutional forces in the environment. And fourth, the, the influence of those forces on case banks' adoption and implementation of open innovation to reduce uncertainty, strengthen professional identity, and enhance organizational legitimacy. The research conducted two phases of semi-structured interviews. The first phase involved 12 interviews to gain a comprehensive understanding of the topic. In the second phase, four additional interviews were conducted to refine the case study findings. In total, 16 interviews were conducted with managers from the corporate and digital finance departments of the selected case banks. Interviewees were selected based on their detailed knowledge of the case bank's fintech development efforts and relevant experience. Data collected from primary and secondary sources were used to develop a case study database. Content analysis of this data provided comprehensive insights into the relationship between institutional effects and the adoption of open innovation. Table 1 shows a summary of the case banks in this research. The research explored organizational strategies for mobile payment services through case studies using within case and cross case analysis. Data from the selected cases were coded to identify first-order concepts, specifically focusing on organizational strategies for developing mobile payment services. These data were categorized into themes based on the characteristics of the selected cases and then developed into dimensions to better understand the role of institutional forces in influencing the use of open innovation by the alpha, beta, gamma, and delta case banks. The first case evidence focuses on the role of institutional forces in influencing the adoption of open innovation by the Alpha Case Bank for developing mobile payments. The financial industry in Taiwan is highly institutionalized, with strict processes for providing financial services to maintain organizational legitimacy and professional identity. The Taiwanese government, especially for public banks, strongly influences their behavior and has prioritized equipping traditional banks with mobile payments capabilities. The entry of foreign high-tech companies like Apple and Google with their mobile payment services into the Taiwanese market has prompted the government to take action to prevent them from dominating the market. This has led to a push for traditional Taiwanese banks to enhance their mobile payment capabilities through open innovation. The Taiwanese government encouraged multiple public banks, including the Alpha Case Bank, to collaborate with three Taiwanese clearinghouses and establish the Taiwan Mobile Payment Company. This joint venture was tasked with developing mobile payment technologies, and it launched the T-Wallet, which later evolved into Taiwan Mobile Payment. The government's use of institutional forces, particularly coercive forces, aimed to reduce uncertainty and enhance survival in the financial industry. This led to increased adoption of open innovation by traditional financial institutions, illustrating how institutional forces can positively influence their inclination to adopt open innovation in building fintechs. The second case evidence focuses on the role of institutional forces in influencing the adoption of open innovation by the Beta Case Bank to develop mobile payments. The Beta Case Bank, being an independent traditional bank, sees mobile payments as a means of gaining a competitive advantage. However, due to limited resources, it, deci- it decides to leverage external knowledge sources to develop mobile payments. To reduce uncertainty and risk, the Beta Case Bank imitates the strategies of other large traditional banks in Taiwan that face similar resource constraints. To facilitate its open innovation efforts, the Beta Case Bank joins the Taiwan Mobile Payment Camp and collaborates with major Taiwanese public banks and financial institutions to promote related ecosystems. This case highlights that institutional forces can positively influence the adoption of open innovation by traditional financial institutions, particularly independent traditional banks. The third and fourth case evidence explores the role of institutional forces by the Gamma and Delta case banks to develop mobile payments. In the global context, many traditional banks have opted to collaborate with external high-tech companies like Google to develop their mobile payment services. This open innovation approach gained recognition and became a norm within the professional network to establish a professional identity. Recognizing their lag behind foreign traditional banks in mobile payment development and market share, traditional banks in Taiwan sought to learn from the professional network's successful practices. Financial holding companies, including the case banks, joined the Taiwan mobile payment camp and collaborated with reputable foreign high-tech companies to enhance their capabilities. This case demonstrates that institutional forces can motivate traditional financial institutions to adopt open innovations deemed effective by the professional network. The findings derived from the case studies indicate that these institutional effects play a crucial role in promoting the adoption and implementation of open innovation. Firstly, coercive forces not only regulate organizational behavior, but also encourage collaboration with external partners to drive and exploit innovation. Traditional banks face regulatory and professional constraints requiring adherence to standardized practice to maintain their professional identity. To enhance innovation capabilities, the Taiwanese government actively encouraged traditional banks, especially public banks, to embrace open innovation and leverage external knowledge. This leads to the first proposition that institutional effects significantly influenced the adoption of open innovation in traditional financial institutions. Table 2 shows a summary of research findings in this research. The research outcome reveals that due to limited resources and professional requirements, the case bank adopts a strategy of imitating other large Taiwanese banks' open innovation approaches to reduce uncertainty. In this context, the influence of mimetic forces encourages organizations with restrict resources in institutionalized industries to embrace open innovation, particularly when facing uncertainty. This leads to the second proposition, which suggests that firms with limited resources operating in institutionalized industries under the influence of high mimetic forces are more likely to adopt and implement open innovation to enhance their innovation capabilities. The results indicate that extensive adoption of open innovation by foreign traditional banks within the professional network has influenced case banks to embrace open innovation in developing fintechs such as mobile payments to establish a professional identity. As more organizations within the professional network adopt open innovation for driving their innovation, it becomes increasingly perceived as a useful and normative approach within the network. This leads to the third proposition, which suggests that firms having direct or indirect connections with professional networks and operating in institutionalized industries under the influence of high normative forces are more likely to adopt and implement open innovation to enhance their innovation capabilities. The significance of these studies lies in its contribution to the existing literature on open innovation, particularly by examining the role of institutional theory in the adoption and implementation of open innovation. The research provides valuable insights into how institutional effects influence open innovation practices in institutionalized industries, emphasizing the need to consider institutional forces when managing knowledge flows across organizational boundaries. Understanding the impact of coercive, normative, and mimetic forces allows organizations to better strategize their innovation processes and collaborations with external partners. The study also highlights the relationships between organizational characteristics and the influence of institutional forces, showcasing the importance of coercive forces for government owned organizations and the significance of mimetic forces for organizations with limited resources. Moreover, it underscores the impact of normative forces on organizations connected to professional networks. This study has some limitations that need to be acknowledged. Firstly, the small sample size of only four banks in the case studies may limit the generalizability of the findings. To increase the validity of the conclusions, future research could consider a larger and more diverse sample. Second, the study's focus on the financial industry in Taiwan may not fully capture the diversity of open innovation practices in other sectors or regions. It is essential to exercise caution and applying the findings to different industries or countries. Last, the study primarily examines the impact of institutional forces on open innovation adoption. To gain a more comprehensive understanding, future research could look into the performance implications and long-term effects of open innovation practices in institutionalized industries. Moving forward, this study suggests several directions for future research. First, researchers could explore how various combinations of institutional pressures influence different stages of the open innovation process, such as idea generation, knowledge transfer, and commercialization. Second, investigating the effectiveness of different strategies employed by organizations to overcome institutional constraints and foster open innovation would be beneficial. Understanding how successful organizations navigate institutionalized environments can provide valuable insights and practical guidance for practitioners seeking to implement open innovation effectively. This study has important theoretical implications for the concept of open innovation. It highlights the expansion of open innovation focus from high tech to low tech and from manufacturing to services industries. Furthermore, the study contributes to the understanding of institutional theory by proposing the role of institutional effects in encouraging organizations to leverage external knowledge sources, thereby enhancing their competitiveness. The research validates the significant influence of coercive, normative, and mimetic forces on the adoption and use of open innovation. Moreover, this research sheds light on how open innovation is gaining acceptance in highly institutionalized industries, providing valuable insights into this evolving area of study. This study provides practical implications for organizations in institutionalized settings. It highlights the significance of understanding and leveraging the influence of coercive, mimetic, and normative forces to enhance innovation capabilities through open innovation adoption. To accelerate open innovation, organizations can utilize both formal and informal institutions, enabling collaboration with external partners. This approach helps reduce risk, strengthen their professional identity, and ultimately drive innovation. By embracing open innovation strategies and considering institutional impact, organizations in institutionalized industries can effectively navigate the challenges and opportunities of today's dynamic business landscape. Thank you for listening to this seminar presentation.